It didn't feel like loss at first. It felt like relief. She stopped asking where I was, stopped checking in, stopped needing updates. At the time, I thought that meant trust. I was wrong. Her name was Hannah. We'd been together long enough to settle into patterns, comfortable ones, predictable, the kind that make you believe the work is done. In the early years, she leaned on me, emotionally, practically, in ways that made me feel important. I liked that, more than I admitted. I was the one she called when something went wrong, the one who knew how to fix things, the one who showed up. Being needed felt like purpose. But life shifted. She grew more confident, more self-directed, more capable. I told myself I was proud. I didn't notice what that took away from me. She started solving problems before I knew they existed, making decisions without checking in, handling emotions internally, not out of secrecy, out of efficiency. One night, I came home late and found her already asleep. No message, no waiting, just rest. That should have felt healthy. Instead, it felt unfamiliar. The roles we'd settled into began to blur. She didn't ask for advice anymore, didn't lean in the same way, didn't need reassurance as often. She still loved me. I knew that. But love had changed shape. I started offering help she didn't ask for. Suggestions, solutions, logic. She listened, thanked me, moved on. You don't have to fix everything, she said once. I just wanted to tell you. That sentence unsettled me. I realized something uncomfortable. I didn't know how to exist in the relationship without being necessary. We talked less about feelings, more about plans, schedules, logistics. Everything worked, but something was missing. She wasn't pulling away. She was standing on her own, and I didn't know where that left me. One evening, we were sitting on the couch, quiet, comfortable. She leaned her head against my shoulder, a familiar gesture, but it didn't land the same. I've been thinking, she said, about what I want next. I nodded, encouraged her. She didn't mention us. That night, I lay awake longer than usual, not anxious, just aware. Aware that the center of gravity had shifted, and I hadn't adjusted. I told myself relationships evolve, that independence is good, that love doesn't always feel intense. All of that is true, but imbalance feels different. A few days later, she told me she'd applied for a position in another city, casually, confidently. She didn't ask what I thought. She just shared the update. I smiled, said that was exciting. Inside, something tightened. I wasn't being left. Not yet. But I could feel the shape of a future that didn't automatically include me. That was the first time I asked myself a question I'd never considered before. If she doesn't need me anymore, what does she still choose me for? I didn't know then that this question would change everything. That by the time I found the courage to ask it out loud, we didn't talk about it already right away. The job, the city, what it meant. We let it sit between us like something fragile. She got the offer 2 weeks later. I knew before she told me. She had that look, the quiet confidence of someone whose life is moving forward. They want me to start in 3 months, she said. No pressure. I just wanted you to know. She watched my face carefully, not anxiously, just attentively. I said I was proud of her, and I meant it. That was the problem. That night, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to admit before. I had built my place in her life around usefulness, around being relied on, around being needed. And now that she didn't need me in the same way, I didn't know who I was to her. A few days later, I asked if we could talk, not because I wanted answers, because I couldn't keep pretending I wasn't afraid. We sat at the kitchen table, same place we'd had dozens of conversations, some important, some forgettable. This one felt different. I feel like I'm falling out of your life, I said. Not accusing, just honest. She didn't react immediately. She took a breath, then another. I didn't mean for that to happen, she said. I just grew. There it was again, not leaving, growing. She explained how learning to stand on her own had changed her, how it felt good not to collapse when things went wrong, how she liked the version of herself that didn't depend on anyone to feel stable. I still love you, she said. That hasn't changed. I believed her. But love isn't the same as direction, she added. And right now, mine is moving. I asked her if she wanted me to come with her. The question surprised her. I could tell. I don't know, she said honestly. I don't want you to move because you're afraid of losing me. I want you to move because you want the same life. That answer hurt, and it was fair. I realized something then. I had been reacting to her growth instead of growing myself, trying to hold my place instead of redefining it. We talked for hours. No raised voices, no blame, just clarity. She didn't want a long-distance relationship, didn't want promises built on hesitation, didn't want either of us to shrink to make it work. I don't want to be the reason you don't choose yourself, she said, and I don't want to stop choosing myself either. That was the moment I understood. This wasn't a breakup driven by lack of love. It was driven by alignment. We decided to end it before resentment had a chance to form. Before sacrifice turned into quiet anger. Before one of us stayed while wishing we'd left. The weeks after were strange, gentle, sad, respectful. We packed things together, laughed occasionally, avoided saying, "Remember when?" On her last night, we sat on the floor of the living room. No furniture, no distractions. Just two people acknowledging something important had ended. I don't regret us, she said. I just don't want to outgrow myself again. I nodded. I don't want to be chosen out of comfort, I replied. I want to be chosen intentionally. She hugged me tightly, longer than usual, not to hold on, but to say goodbye properly. After she left, the apartment felt different. Not hollow, not broken, honest. It took time to understand what this loss actually was. I didn't lose her to another man, or to conflict, or to distance. I lost her to her own becoming. And eventually, I realized something else. I didn't want to be needed anymore. I wanted to be chosen, even if that meant being alone until the right alignment existed. Some relationships end not because something went wrong, but because both people finally became strong enough to choose truth over comfort. She needed less. I needed more. And neither of us was wrong. Sometimes love doesn't ask you to hold on, it asks you to let go with respect. That was the lesson she left me with, and I'm still growing into it.